All right. Hello, everybody. Chris Dunn back with you. And I am really excited about this episode of Pathways to Wealth because our guest today is not only a world renowned speaker and best-selling author, but he is actually a mentor to me and helped me get started earlier in life. Today we have Bob Burg. Hey, Bob, thanks for being on the show today.
Chris, it's great to be with you, man. I am so proud of everything you're doing.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. And I know, we've talked a little bit over the years, but I'm going to fill you in on some things that have happened since we first met like 6 or 7 years ago. And
Right.
hopefully we can tell a story to the audience and inspire them and kind of show them what's possible.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and just get it kicked off. So, for anybody that doesn't already know Bob, he is a best-selling author. Bob, your book's been translated into over 20 languages, right?
21 right now. I think the 22nd is coming out soon.
Nice. And I know you've sold well over 500,000 copies of your book, and you throw big events. You've spoken to everybody from business leaders to TV personalities and even a former U.S. president. Fill in the holes there, Bob. What did I miss?
Well, I've been doing it for a long time now, so after a while you sort of get to at one time or another share the platform with a whole lot of people. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh, awesome. Well, so let's talk about the book. When did the book come out?
Well, The Go-Giver first came out in early 2008. The actual publishing date was December 27th, 2007, but really it hit the bookstores 2008.
Okay, and I think that's right around the time that I heard about it is right after the book launch. So for anybody that hasn't read it, let's go ahead and give them like an overview. What's the book about?
Well, the basic premise, and it's a business parable. So it's a story, co-authored with John David Mann, who's a fantastic author, fantastic writer and storyteller. I'm really much more of a how-to person, step one, step two, step three. John weaves a great tale. So it's the basic premise is simply that shifting one's focus from getting to giving. Now, in this case, Chris, in this context, when we say giving, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing value to others. And that doing so is not only a nice way, a pleasant way to live your life and conduct your business, it's a very financially profitable way as well. And the reason is, there's nothing magical or mystical about it. It's very concrete in this regard that in a free market based economy, and when I say that, I really mean the type in which most of us live, in which no one is forced to do business with us. People are only going to buy from us. They're only going to invest with us or do business with us or what have you because they believe they are better off by doing so than by not doing so. Because of that, it's incumbent upon us to really place our focus on bringing value to them. Otherwise, why would they do business with us? And that's fine. That's the way it should be. And in this book, we simply tell the story of a young, up-and-coming, aggressive guy with real great potential, but has his focus in the wrong place. His focus is really on himself. And it's only after he goes through that shift in focus, he moves from an I focus or me focus to an other focus, looking for ways to bring value to others. That's all of a sudden when his business really takes off and accelerates.
That hits home so much for me because whenever I first read the book, I was at a point in my life where I read it and I was like, man, you wrote this for me because I was coming from an industry that was so just profit driven. It was the mortgage industry, and I had left a couple years prior, and I was struggling to find kind of my path and my way in life. And I had a little bit of a nest egg, so I was testing different ways, but I still had that old school mentality of sell, 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 and just do whatever you can to make a dollar. And then whenever I read the book, I'm like, it makes sense, the idea of adding value. And so I don't think I've ever told you this, but whenever I read the book, and I think this was before the conference, like right before the conference that you threw in Orlando, I started my YouTube channel. And within about 18 months after reading the book and meeting some strategic partners at your event, I had my first 7-figure year.
I love those stories. Those are just That's fantastic. And it really says a lot about you because you took action. And this is why we say, some people think, well, the name of the book is The Go-Giver. So are you saying that's the opposite of a go-getter? No, not at all. We love go-getters. Go-getters take action because, you can have the greatest thoughts, best idea, most fantastic intention in the world, but unless action's put into the mix, nothing's going to happen. And you really took action on that. So we like to say to people, be both a go-getter and a go-giver, just not a go-taker.
That's that's really well put. I mean, I found that after I started focusing on just the giving and adding value, I mean, it attracts people to you, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. Because they know you have their best interests at heart. And this is why, the neat thing is, and hey, when we say, something's profit driven, there's not only is there nothing wrong with making a profit, there's everything great about making a profit. But understand that the only reason you can make a profit, this is in a free market, of course, the only way you can make a profit is by first providing value to someone. Since the exchanges are always voluntary. This is why John and I say that money is simply an echo of value. It's the thunder, if you will, to value's lightning, which means nothing more than that the value must come first. That must be your focus. So instead of being profit driven, be value driven, and the profit's going to follow very naturally.
Absolutely. I think that's a great segue into the 5 laws of the book, one being value. Bob, can you give us kind of an overview of the framework of the book and the 5 laws?
Yeah, the 5 laws themselves are the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. The law of value says your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Now, when you first hear this, it sounds really counterproductive, right? I mean, give more in value than you take in payment. Sounds like a recipe for bankruptcy. So we simply have to understand the difference between price and value. Price is a dollar figure. It's a dollar amount. It's finite. It is what it is. Value, on the other hand, Chris, is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, idea, that brings with it such worth or value to someone that they will willingly exchange their money for it and be glad they did while you make a profit. In the story, we use the example of Iafrate's Italian Cafe. It's a high-end restaurant in a swanky part of the city, and when you go there, you're going to pay a nice price for it to eat there. But from the moment you walk in, you just feel like $1 million. The way you're greeted and the way you're escorted to the table and the way the wait staff knows just when to pay attention to you and when to leave you alone. The ambiance is fantastic. The food is great. Everything about it is an experience. So you may pay, $150, $200 for the meal, right? But you come away from it feeling like $1 million, feeling like you received thousands of dollars worth of value from this. So what Iafrate, the owner, did is he gave you more in value than he took in payment. Yet we also know that his food cost a lot less than what he's charging for it. Maintaining his staff and electricity and all the other parts of a restaurant cost him less than what he's charging. So he also made an excellent profit. And it's the same in everyone's business. We need to find ways to give so much value in the experience because, hey, technology has leveled off the playing field. Most products and services are basically the same. So we need to be that extra additional value that makes it happen. And when we do that, now we have very, very happy customers and clients, and we make a profit, and we're on our way. But that's just law number 1. There's 4 others.
Yeah, and just to touch on the law of value, I think in today's economy with technology the way it is, we're talking through the internet, and it's so easy for anybody to provide value online. What are a couple of ways that you see working right now, of ways that people can add value? Because the name of the show is Pathways to Wealth, and my goal is to help people find different income sources that can help them build wealth and create more time freedom. Do you see any opportunities in the marketplace, or anything specifically that maybe a first-time entrepreneur or investor could do to start creating an income stream, or to create value, to give back, to attract revenue?
Well, it's a great question. It's a general question, and there are as many ways to find ways to provide value or to create an income stream as there are businesses, because you can always look for ways to take what you're already doing and increase that. Let's face it, Iafrate, who has a great profitable restaurant, could also write a book or have a series or do big teachings, right, on how to run a successful restaurant. So really, anyone who does anything online can find a way to expand their reach, which is law number 2, actually. Find ways to serve more people with that exceptional value. But really, when it comes to providing value to someone, even especially with an online business, it's to create a human connection. And that's what I think a lot of people miss when they do business online with people. They really think that the automation and the technology is going to be the experience. It's really not. When people have an issue or people have a problem, they want to deal with a real live human being. Jeff Colvin wrote a great book that came out recently. I would suggest everyone read this book. It's called Humans Are Underrated. And what he was talking about is that technology and computers and robots and the whole thing are now just so a part of life and are going to be continuing to expand their reach. That asking, what can humans do that computers can't do is now not even the right question, because computers and technology can pretty much do everything. The question is, what can computers do that people won't do, or what does technology provide that human beings will only accept from other human beings? And a big part of that is empathy. A big part of that is leadership. A big part of that is when you can create together. A big part of that is team building. But the big thing is especially online, you create additional value through the human touch.
Interesting. I love that. And one of the laws is influence. How can somebody that's sitting there maybe saying, I have no influence, I don't have an audience, I don't have a reach, I don't have any specialized knowledge, how can somebody go out and start to create influence and create value?
Well, you start by connecting with people, finding people to connect with, and you start looking for ways to provide value to them. I mean, it's as simple as that, and it's as difficult because you still got to go out and do the work to do that. Now, fortunately, again, technology allows us to do that a lot easier. So if you create a special report, or you create a video, or you create an audio, and you give that away for free, in order that people are now doing that, giving away something for free, that's not what we mean by being a go-giver, okay? Being a go-giver means you provide more in value than you take in payment, and you make a very healthy profit. It means you're focused on providing value to others. But giving things away for free that are of value to others, that is a strategy, that's a tactic, and it's fantastic. Because what you're doing is you're giving people a chance to get to know you, to get to like you, to get to trust you, to get to see that you're a person of character, both in terms of competence, or a person who can be trusted, both in terms of competence and character. So sure, by all means do that. Continue to build your list. Have a blog. Start guest posting on other people's blogs. Get on social media. Start connecting with people. Always asking yourself, how is everything I'm doing providing value to another human being? And this doesn't mean providing value as we believe it's of value. It means from their perspective, because value is always in the eyes of the beholder. So we
Absolutely.
always have to look for ways to give people what they want, and it's what they want, not what we think they should want.
Absolutely. Bob, let's talk a little bit about mentorship. I'm a huge fan of having mentors. I think it can drastically cut down the learning curve and give you an edge and really save people a lot of time, money, and frustration. What do you think is the best way for somebody to go about finding a mentor? And maybe what are some things that they shouldn't do when seeking out a mentor?
Mm, yeah, that's a good question. I would say when seeking out a mentor, which I agree with you is a wise thing to do, is to not simply approach someone you admire and would like to be mentored by and say, hey, will you mentor me? And the reason why is because if you have no relationship with this person, because a mentor protege relationship is just that, it's a relationship and it tends to develop over time.
Mhm.
So if you just go up to someone or contact them online or call or in person, whatever the medium happens to be that you're meeting this person, and you simply say, hey, will you mentor me? It's sort of like going up to someone and saying, hey, will you share with me your 40 years of experience and hard knocks, even though you don't know me from a hole in the wall?
Yeah, I know you don't know me, but do you want to get married? Do you want to,
Right,
hang
exactly.
out with
Yes,
me
yes,
every week?
yes. That's a good way to put it. So instead, what I would do is contact that person, again, regardless of the medium through which you're doing this, and just let this person know you admire them. It might be that they've written books, or that they are the CEO of a company, or they've done this or they've done that, what have you. Make sure you research them first, okay? And let them know, who you are, that you admire them and their work, what I'm starting a blah blah blah, what have you. And if it wouldn't be inappropriate for me to ask, may I ask you two very specific questions?
Yeah,
And
I like that idea of specific questions because some people, when they reach out, they say, "Hey, can you just help me?"
right,
Open-ended, like they're looking for that person to come up with a solution
yeah.
for them.
Or can I pick your brain, which kind of says to this person, this could be an endless, thing. And then what you want to do, and most people, if you do it like that, because you're doing it you're respecting the process and respecting the person. Most people are generally good people, and if they can, they're going to help you. And most people will say, sure, a couple questions, that would be fine. Make sure you don't ask something that you already should know had you researched it. Okay.
Yeah,
So
show
you
that you
want
actually put the work in and that you care enough about the relationship that you'll spend 10 minutes researching, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then when they have given you this advice, again, regardless of the medium, you want to right away send a handwritten, personalized thank you note, just thanking them for their time, letting them know how much you appreciate it, and you're looking to putting their wisdom to use right away, and that you'll keep in touch and let them know, and so forth. I would even, if you've researched and you found their favorite charity, make just a small donation to their favorite charity. It will get back, they'll be notified. You're not doing it to kiss up or anything, but again, you're letting them know that you want to also be of value to them, that you, again, respect the situation and the process. If you know that they have a certain interest in something, uh, and you have a way of being able to help them to get more information on it, or introduce them, just by all means do that whenever you can. Now, you can always write back a couple weeks later, let them know this or that, and may I ask, so forth and so on. And again, they will be most likely very open to this, and little by little, the relationship grows. And
Yes.
now maybe that mentor protege relationship actually takes place.
Absolutely. I love the idea of like reaching out and not just asking to receive help, but maybe looking how can you add value to a mentor
Exactly.
first, right?
Exactly.
Um, James Altucher has this thing where he says, "Look, if you have somebody you want to reach out to, send them a list of 10 ideas that you think will help them with X. If they're a author, 10 ideas for blog posts or 10 ideas to help improve their business. Even if they're bad ideas, at least you're trying." So I think the more
Well,
creative you get, maybe you can find ways that would inspire or catch that person's attention.
yeah. Well, James is a very wise man. I've enjoyed his books.
Absolutely. One thing that you talk about is how the go giver is like confluent with basic human nature. How do you find that?
Well, I think people generally want to feel as though you care about them, that you look at them as more than just a paycheck, or more than just a commission check, or more than just a sale. And so when you can genuinely and authentically, and one of the laws is the law of authenticity, right? And so when you can genuinely and authentically um, place their interests first, know that you need to please them. When I say please them, I don't mean that in a doormat-y type of way. But I mean, again, when we're talking about business or we're talking about creating any type of partnership or relationship, you need to be genuinely interested in them and benefiting them. Who doesn't like that? Right? When you're really genuinely looking to add value to the life of another human being, they're more attracted to you. They want to do business with you. They want to get to know you. They begin to know you, like you, trust you. And, as I always say, you've heard me say, all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. Well, there's no faster, more powerful, more beneficial way of eliciting those feelings toward you from others than by genuinely and authentically making your win about their win.
Absolutely. Bob, what does true wealth mean to you?
In the financial sense, true wealth would just mean having choices. It means you have options, you have choices, and you're not limited by finance. Okay, I think that's a fairly one-dimensional look at it, and I think that makes sense. The purpose of money really is choices. It's now, if we look at on a deeper level, right? Who is truly rich? The sages used to say the rich person is that person who rejoices in their lot, which really comes down to gratitude. It means you are grateful for what you have, that you're grateful for all the blessings, all the great things, which could mean toys and fun things, but it could also mean, having hands or fingers that work and eyes that see and a mouth where you can speak and a brain that's functioning, that as well. Now, and here's a neat thing. Being grateful for what you already have does not conflict with wanting to earn more money as well. In fact, the more grateful you are for what you already have, the greater the chances you're also going to earn more in terms of financial wealth.
Beautiful. Yeah, I always say, it's very possible to be a miserable millionaire, right?
Absolutely.
So gratefulness is absolutely an excellent definition of true wealth. I love it. Bob, what was the greatest or the biggest challenge that you faced in writing your book or building your business?
There was one part in building the business. I mean, when I built the speaking business, which now I've been doing for 27, 28 years, I learned a system for doing so. I went to the National Speakers Association meetings and learned from those who did it before me. I would get all the books on the topic and the audios and so forth. So I'm a big believer in not reinventing the wheel because I know I'm not smart enough to do so. I believe in following a system. And I personally define a system as simply the process of achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles. Okay? It's really and I left one word out. It's the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles. The key is predictability. If it's been proven that by doing A, you'll get the desired results of B, then you know that all you need to do is A and you'll get the desired results of B. You certainly teach people systems in what you do. So I did it that way. Now I had and I built the business within a few years. It was cranking, it was going. But I really, in the late 90s, kind of the late 90s, I guess, when technology was really starting to get big, and I'm not really someone who's particularly tech savvy, and I kind of went kicking and screaming into the tech aspect of the speaking business. and it hurt me because I knew I needed to change. I knew I needed to learn it. And I did what I advise people not to do. I buried my head in the sand and thought maybe it will go away if I don't pay attention to it. And it really set me back for a couple of years.
So you were comfortable doing what you were doing, and technology came in, and you said, "Nope, not for me." And then eventually you gave into it.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually I did. And what I did is I began bringing people along with me who were tech savvy. Now I have this amazing business partner. Her name is Kathy Tajanel, hugely tech savvy, also marketing savvy. And she does a lot of the things I don't do well, which frees me up to do the things I do well. So, that's been a huge, huge help for me.
Beautiful. I always say, like, figure out what you're good at and then delegate or delete the rest, right?
Exactly.
Is there another book, obviously outside of one of your own books, that you would recommend related to business or personal development that you think everybody should read?
There are so many great books out there that I would recommend. I would say if someone was going to get one book, and I have this right here, it's called The Secret of Selling Anything. It's by a man who was once a mentor of mine. He's now deceased. His name is Harry Brown. And Harry is bestseller of a number of books on finance, on free markets, on so forth. But this was actually taken from two manuscripts he wrote in the 60s that he never published. And after he passed away, his wife found these manuscripts, and she contacted someone who contacted her with another person who ended up publishing. So this was published posthumously about 5 years ago. The Secret of Selling Anything. And really what it is it's a look at understanding people. It's a look at understanding human nature. And Harry was a man who was a kind, gracious, just fantastic human being. He was the epitome of the salesperson who just looked to provide value to others and understood how to communicate, and that you communicated best by having a laser focus in that other person. As Harry says, the secret to selling, which need not be a secret, but the secret to selling is find out what another person wants and help them get it. Nice. And this is a book, to me, it's just a beautiful book. Really, the first half of the book is all about understanding human nature, why people act as they do. The second part is tying the sales process into human nature. And he honors human nature, he honors others, and I think it's just a fantastic book. On my blog at burg.com/blog, if you search for Harry Brown or The Secret of Selling, I think it will come up to that article. I have a few articles on him, but I kind of explain in a nutshell his process. And I just have so much respect for that person, and I think that's a book everyone should own.
Great. Thank you for that. I haven't heard of that book, but I'm going to go ahead and order that today.
It's a well-kept secret. It's one of those things that's just really starting to get out there because those of us who've embraced the book over the last few years, we just can't stop telling people about
it. Nice. I love that. Bob, what's the best piece of advice that you've received about either writing a book or building a business?
Well, let me share one regarding building a business. And it was after I began in sales, 35 years ago, and I was starting to do well because I was following systems for sales, but my focus was still on the sale as opposed to the other person. And I think, and it was a person who worked at the company where I was selling. He wasn't in sales. He was an engineer. He was retiring. In fact, I think it's one of maybe 2 times I ever even saw the person. So I would call him a drive-by mentor. And I think he saw me as sort of like Joe, the protagonist in The Go-Giver, right, who needed a change of focus or attitude. And he said to me, Burg, if you want to make a lot of money in business, if you want to make a lot of money in sales, he said, don't have making money as the target. Your target is serving others. Now, when you hit the target, he continued, you'll get a reward, and that reward will be money, and you can do with that money whatever you'd like. But remember, the money is only the reward for hitting the target. It's not the target itself. The target is serving others.
So I think what I'm hearing is if you focus on the process of adding value, the result will come. But if you obsess over the result and forget the process, you won't actually get the result. Is that right?
Absolutely. And again, money is an echo of value. So you've got to focus on the value first. You've got to focus on others, and you do this by discovering their needs. You know, really what selling is when you think about it, selling can be defined very easily as simply discovering what the other person needs, wants, or desires and helping them to get it. That's what selling is.
That's great. I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Bob, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. And where can people get in touch with you?
Best place to go is Burg, BURG.com. And everything is pretty much right there on the site, including they can subscribe to my Influence and Success Insights, and they can get Chapter 1 of The Go-Giver, which has just been expanded after it hit the 500,000 mark in sales. And so come on, visit Burg.com and have fun.
There you go. Beautiful. And we'll link up the book here in the show notes page and on YouTube. So, Bob, again, thank you so much for coming today. Are there any final words that you want to leave us off with?
No, I've enjoyed myself so much. And I've got to tell you, it is really just such a thrill for me personally to know how well you've done and how much value you're adding to the lives of so many people. I couldn't be prouder, Chris.
Well, I really appreciate it, and like I said, I mean that when the book came out, and then the conference that happened after that, that really was a trajectory change for me, and millions of dollars in revenue. So many amazing relationships have come of that that I'm still really good friends with today.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't thank you enough for everything you've done and for the time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bob. Take care.